Uh, what is going on, Pursuit fam? Coach Stefan here. I'm with one of our clients, Ryan Jackson. Ryan, thank you for jumping on and being willing to do this interview. Super powerful, man. You've made a freaking insane transformation in a short amount of time. Do you mind just letting people know who you are, what you do for work, your age, just a little background so they know who we're diving into and chatting with?
Yeah, I'm Ryan Jackson. I'm a police officer in New Jersey. In April, 266 pounds, wasn't going to the gym, ate everything in sight, and just felt terrible about myself. So, it was pretty life-changing joining
Yeah.
this program.
And how old are you?
I'm 28.
Okay. So a little bit on the younger side of some of the guys in, which is not a bad thing. But without going like too in depth, how long have you been an officer?
About 5 years.
Okay. Did you start at that weight, or were you like, man, the first 5 years just got to me and I kind of gained and gained and gained and then hit this point?
Yeah, I actually started around 260 pounds, but I was a lot more muscular and not as fat. And then my weight has just fluctuated up and down since then. But it's steadily just turned more into fat than muscle. I stopped lifting as much and doing things. I was just tired all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. And you played sports. You were an athlete and stuff in the past, right?
Yeah, I played college football as an offensive lineman.
Okay. Yeah. So big dude, obviously
Yeah.
athletic, had a lot of muscle. Do you feel like it was the career that just kind of like, the long shifts and stuff that kind of got a hold of you, or what do you think made you kind of go on that like downward spiral and just get out of shape?
I think it starts with, I'm sure plenty of people at cops do not eat well, especially when they're working overnights and they're ordering food. So it would start with me, ordering some junk, and then it just started spiraling. So then the more weight I gained, oh, because I rotate shifts, so I work a day shift, then a night shift,
Mm.
I started spiraling in my diet, and the heavier I got, the less energy I had to go to the gym. And it just kind of was a cycle of I ate more, I lifted less. And then every time I lost weight, I didn't do it the right way, and I was just starving myself. So I just fall right back off the wagon right when I stopped dieting.
Yeah, because it's not like you completely gave up. Like you were kind of going to the gym and you were like trying and you would hit the ceiling where you're like, all
Yeah.
right, this is enough. And you try to lose weight and you would, right? But again, you'd be like ultra restrictive, kind of starve yourself, lose weight,
Yep.
and like feel weak. And then you're like, I don't have energy to go to the gym. And it's just like this vicious cycle, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. That's they pretty much to a T. I eat pretty much chicken, rice, and broccoli every day when I was trying to lose weight. Hated every minute of it, and then I'd end up one night, oh, I'll order something with the guys tonight, and then just kept spiraling
Right.
to more and more food.
Well, before we dive too deep, you're down what, 75 pounds in like 6 months, roughly?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, that's insane, man. And with that too, you were telling me before we started recording that like you also didn't get weaker because I think that's some people's fear, right? Like, oh my God, I'm going to lose that much weight that quick. And for sure, I have to starve myself. I'm going to look like a skinny vegan. Like, what kind of performance increases
Yeah.
have you hit? Because I think for us, man, we don't just, help you lose weight. What have you seen besides the 75 pounds weight loss in the 6 months as far as performance and muscle?
Well, for one, I can actually deadlift again. My back was so bad when I started this thing. He was having me deadlift, and I'm like, I just can't. So he built up everything else around it. And now I can deadlift and I'm not in pain anymore.
The
Like I
win.
deadlift and the next day I couldn't walk
Hmm.
before this. And he's just got me doing so many exercises that I would have never thought to do. Um, like maxing on reverse lunges. I hate reverse lunges. I've never done them prior, and I hit 255 pounds with each leg on a reverse lunge, which I never even thought was possible. Um, but just I feel like a lot more controlled with my strength too. Like I just have more control over my body when I'm lifting. But yeah, no, nothing really for me. Obviously, having 70 pounds, you're going to be just naturally a little bit more likely have a little bit more power behind you, especially when I was lifting more. But my numbers haven't changed too much, but I feel better doing them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I would also argue that you put on some muscle, man, like during that process. Would you say that's fair?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm usually when I lose weight, my legs shrink like crazy. The only thing that happened to them is they just got really defined recently. Like I haven't really lost any strength in my legs whatsoever since starting this. Um, and my back Coach Mike's got me doing so much back stuff. My back is gigantic compared to what it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, dude, you've made an awesome transformation. It sounds like weight loss plus performance increases plus rehab plus muscle. And that's awesome. And that's literally what we help our clients do. And I know you're like, we're a little skeptical before joining in the sense of like, how am I going to do this, man? How are you going
Yeah,
to get me to lose all this weight plus, help my injuries plus do this? And I know I'm like, dude, just trust the process, bro. Because like before, when you're in this cycle and you're doing it on your own, you're like, it's just going to be how it was.
yeah,
But we get stuck in this cycle of like doing the same workouts and trying the same techniques. And there's so much online. And who do you follow and what do you listen to? And you're trying to take some advice from what you did when you played football too. And we just mush it together and we Frankenstein this program because the effort was there. Like you wanted to make a transformation. You just like didn't have the knowledge and the tools and the accountability. What was the
yeah.
thing that like really made you join Pursuit in the first place? Like what was the straw that broke the camel's back where you're like, dude, I need some help and I need a coach that knows what they're doing.
It was kind of a mix of things. I first started just feeling terrible. I was like just wearing my uniform and I saw my reflection. My love handles were hanging out the side of my vest. I looked like I was like an overfilled balloon. I didn't feel good. I was tired all the time. And then, you know, I, we wanted to start a family and I don't want to be that dad that was, sitting on the couch watching TV. I want to do stuff with my kids and, be a part of the family and not just be tired and setting a bad example for my future family. So
Yeah.
and then just looking in the mirror, I felt terrible. Everything was hanging over my pants, just didn't look good. I didn't feel good.
If you don't mind me asking,
So
like, where were you mentally during that time?
uh, I was just down on myself. I didn't feel like I could do anything, and I felt like I was failing all the time. I had no motivation because in my head I was just like, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna lose a couple pounds, then I'm gonna give up because it doesn't change, and it's just gonna be the same cycle over and over again. So I was just I had no confidence in myself to do anything really.
Hmm.
It was just I had nothing.
How has that changed for you over the last 6 months, man?
I mean, it's just, part of it's just getting that confidence back that I can do it. And, part of it is it's okay to reach out and ask for help, because I feel like that's a lot of the problem with cops and really just guys in general. Is they don't want to ask for help. They want to do it themselves. They don't want to feel weak. I don't know. I
Yeah.
felt really weak when I first reached out because I'm like, oh, I'm admitting that I'm failing, it didn't feel good.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And to touch on that, like whoever's watching this, as men, we generally, especially the community we work with, a little more alpha, a little more confident, a little more popping out with their chest out. Like that's why you're a cop. That's why you're a firefighter. That's why you're a manager or a leader. Um, and for me, dude, like when I first got a coach and I first got help, yeah, it's not like a great feeling, but I always tell people like the highest level people actually have coaches. NFL players, millionaires have financial coaches, billionaires. Like why? And so coaching can be looked at as a sign of weakness or a sign of, I just want to do better. And I get it. You came in at like kind of the bottom, right? Like you hit a little bit rock bottom. And sometimes when you're
Yeah.
looking for help for there, yes, it sucks. It stings a little bit. But it's like,
Yeah.
are you glad you did it now? Are you glad that you let down your pride and said, okay, I need some help?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where all I could see myself, I was like sending myself to an early grave when I was that weight, just saw myself slowly killing myself with food. So I'm very happy that I s sucked up and just pushed myself to get out there and do something that I wasn't, you know, all in for at the time, mentally ready for.
Yeah, well,
Just
you're
kind
never
of,
ready, man. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, was it a little scary for you when you joined? Was it a little bit of a leap?
Oh, I was terrified. I'm like, because obviously you're putting in the financial investment, which for me is like, look, I'm committed to this no matter what. I'm putting this in financially, and it's like, what if I fail anyway? What if that, like, because it's online, I can't do it, or what if I don't get along with everything was going through my head of what ifs. And so I just kind of said, I'm just going to do what he tells me. I'm just Coach Mike is in charge. I'm just doing what he tells me, and we're just going to find out what happens.
Yeah. Well, what were
And
your top what and we'll touch on that in a second. What were your like top three goals when you joined? Like I know you were scared. We're gonna come back to that.
yeah,
But what were like the top three things you're like, I want to at least accomplish these within, and I know you joined for a year. Some of our clients are do 6 months. You had a little more weight to lose. We're like, hey, let's just do the whole year, man. Let's
yeah.
let's let's we could lose the body fat. Let's kind of rebuild you. We're halfway through. But what were like some goals that you wanted to achieve at the start?
I mean, number one was to just feel better about myself, which came with time.
Yeah.
Um, and number two was obviously to just lose some weight because it was getting ridiculous. That was a big part. And then the third part was, you know, setting myself up for success in the future, which was something that I saw myself being able to do with this program, where I could continue everything I was learning after the fact and not spiral again. Just because, doing it for a year, you kind of change how you do things in your life. It's not
Yeah.
like a 3-month program where you lose a little bit of weight and it's like, good luck. I'm doing this for a year. I'm committed to it for a year, and it's going to change my perspective on how I eat and how I work out.
Well,
So,
halfway through, do you feel like some of those like ingrained long-term habits have shifted?
yeah, I mean, I like, meal prepping's become huge for me recently. And like a lot of my coworkers want me to eat out with them all the time. I'm just like, no, I'm okay. Like no interest in it. And if I do, it's like a Chipotle bowl with steak and sour cream, and that's pretty much it. And that's just because that's what fits what I can eat. Um, so eating, I'm on such a routine with eating right now, and I'm just so comfortable with how I eat. I don't really have any cravings for anything else, any junk or anything like that.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then just what?
yeah, I was gonna say like big fear around that. A lot of officers we work with is like, dude, it's never gonna work for me. Like you have a really crazy schedule where you switch, nights and days and stuff. But like, what would you say to the cop that's like, dude, it won't work. I can't make food work. I don't have time to meal prep. Like, you've heard it all, bro. So like, what would you say to that
Yeah,
person?
yeah, I've thought it all. Look, at the end of the day, you take 30 minutes out of your day, you do a bulk prep. So however many days you work, I work 4. So I'd prep 4 meals. I count the macros out, made sure I had enough of everything for 30 minutes before, or 30 minutes out of my day. Throw everything in the fridge, and it's not that much time, not that much skin off your back, not that much time. And getting in that habit, just it helps so much with kind of just getting into a routine and feeling good. It's hard to start, but once you get into it, it's like second nature. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why we work with our clients generally for like 6 to 12 months. Some people have stayed a long time. And it's just like we want to build those habits. And it's not that you can't in less time frame. I know a lot of coaches do like 4 month programs, and we're not like against doing something like that. But I think like even for somebody, just to give you some context, we've had people that are like, I want to lose 20 pounds that have done a 12-month program. And you're like, dude, why? Well, it's not just about hitting the goal. It's about changing the
Mm.
habits and going through the seasons and overtime and vacations and holidays. Because like anybody can, I really believe that anybody can lock in for a couple months, drown out all the life noise, really dial in and be committed. But then what happens when you're like out of the program and life starts again?
Yeah.
It's like that's where people fall off the wagon, so to speak. And one thing that we're really big on, as you know, is like, dude, how can we create you to be long-term sustainable? Because I don't want to get a bunch of first responders shredded, get them out into the field, and then 8 months later, life happens and kids sports and all this, and then boom, right back to gaining the weight and slipping back. So you also have to be able to like really ingrain it to be part of your life,
Yeah.
you know?
No, I mean, I don't know. Coach Mike just made it easy. I don't know if that makes sense. He just made it easy for me to wrap my head around how to do this. And it wasn't even like he told me this is what you do, this is what you're going to do for this meal or that. He gave me a list of stuff. He said, this is what I suggest. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but this is what I do. This is how I feel good. And he's like, you run with it however you want, pretty much. Like, just try and stick within these guidelines if you're okay with it, and just go for it. So I just, I like to cook, so I kind of just made it work. Found things that I liked in the diet, and it's honestly been pretty easy, if I'm being honest,
Yeah.
to stay on this diet and stay within the range of what I need to eat.
Yeah, it's not overcomplicated, man. And you said something really good that I think I want to touch on briefly is like not that it's bad to give people really specific ultra, like eat this at this time, like this. At the beginning, some people need that, right? Like very
Hmm.
clear, no guesswork. But what we teach you long term is frameworks, right? Like, and the frameworks are what I call nutritional constructs, which is just the same thing. Is like, that's how
Yeah.
I eat. That's how Mike eats. And for those of you listening, every fitness coach that you ever follow on Instagram, not saying they don't track their macros, but a lot of them don't need to because they follow frameworks. And so when they're going on date night and they're traveling and they're doing this, they follow these like guideline frame of how they eat and what they eat. And it's the same thing for me. Can I track my macros? Sure. I'm at the point where I don't need to. I'm very open about that. Like if I tracked every calorie and weighed everything, would I end up getting better results? Yeah, probably. But like the ultimate goal is to get you to the point where you don't need to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, getting to that point where he's like, hey, this is kind of what you can do. That way, when somebody asks you, hey, bro, you want to go out to eat? You're not like, oh, I can't weigh it out. Like, I want you to be able
Yeah.
to have a social life. And I get it how when I was in the military, I did the same thing, prep my food, but I also wanted to have a social and I'd go out and get burritos with the guys or do whatever. I didn't want to be just the dude eating Tupperware all the time. Like I wanted that.
Yeah.
And there is that balance, right? Of like having that camaraderie on shift, but also, hey, dude, I'm doing my own thing, right?
Yeah.
Like this is my own journey. And I will say, I struggle with that. I know a lot of people struggle with that. They're like, well, what will people think of me? Blah, blah, blah. Dude, you're on your own path, right? It's just like if your wife had triplets, your life's going to look a lot different, right?
Yeah.
You're like, hey, man, this is my schedule. Can't go out with the boys. Everybody would be understanding. Unfortunately, sometimes when it comes to fitness, it's not that easy, right? Sometimes you're fear of getting like judged or like, hey, man, what are they going to think of me? But, that's why having that coach and just being like, hey, this is my plan. I'm on it. And the people that maybe talk smack or that judge you, dude, they're going to respect you. Like,
Yeah.
at the end, like, all right, man, this guy stuck it out and this guy did it. Um, what do you think like your like biggest fears were before joining the program? And I asked that because I talked to I don't know, man, hundreds of cops and firefighters, literally dads every single week, and get on calls with a lot of them. And the one thing that holds people back is fear. 1,000%. It's like, what if I do this and I waste my money? What if I do this and I'm not successful? And you had a really big journey, man. You had a long ways to go. Full transparency, a lot of the guys I talked to have 20, 30 pounds to lose. Some of that's 50, but you had like 75 or more. So, like,
Yeah.
what would you say to those people that were scared?
I mean, look, I was terrified. One, that I was going to spend the money and it wasn't going to work for me, or I wasn't going to be committed enough to do it. You just gotta suck it up and push. Like, go get, like, that's always been my mentality. Like, just push through the suck. It's
Mhm.
not going to be fun. Like, it shouldn't be fun if you're trying to lose weight and look better and get stronger. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be fun all the time. You're not going to be eating, cupcakes and going out and getting ice cream with your friends, but it's worth it because I'd rather be healthy, feel good, and look good than be, pudgy and out of shape and feel terrible about myself. I mean, I still enjoy myself. I still go out, but I just, it's worth it to push through and get past the fear of failure and the fear of, wasting money or, whatever, and just buckle down and commit to it because like all the coaches know what they're doing. If you listen and you do what they say and learn from them, you're gonna succeed. It's just a matter of time. You just got to commit.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it really is. I tell people all the time, the only difference between you and what's me talking to somebody on when we do our discovery calls and the people in the program is they just said yes, man. Even when they
Mhm.
were scared.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? They just took a little bit of a leap. And
yeah,
nothing in this life's guaranteed, man. Like you don't know if you're gonna show up to shift one day and things go sideways. Like we don't know. But I always tell people like on the other side of fear, the best things happen. Like the big shifts in life, like the really awesome things are when there's a little bit of leap. Like I'm gonna get married, a little scary. And have kids, scary. I'm gonna become a cop, scary.
yeah,
So on and so forth. Gonna go to college, kind of scary. Like all these things, like in order to achieve, we have to take a leap. Nothing good in life happens. We're like, oh yeah, sure. Like
yeah,
buying toilet paper at Walmart. Okay, put it in the cart. It's like, it doesn't matter, man. But so it's like you said, if you want to make a transformation, like it's a little bit of a leap. And the last thing, which I think is really important to touch on, obviously, there's about 1 million online coaches. Um, I guess it's a two-part question. What made you go with us? And how has the experience been so as far as like customer service, community, communication with your coach?
I mean, I went with you guys because like I looked at a bunch of stuff. You were one of the only sites that actually looked legitimate and had like actual results of people and videos of how they did and how they felt, what they thought of the coaching. Um, so I kind of automatically trusted you guys a little bit more to actually have some sort of success. And, it seems like it's more catered towards first responders because look, our schedules suck. You can't get a personal trainer in person as a cop. It doesn't work like that,
Yeah.
especially if you're rotating every week. You can't, have someone that works out with you every day because you're going to the gym at different times. So you guys just fit what I could do, and um you said like how it's worked for me so far.
Yeah, I just want to know how the experience has been. I think another fear of people, right? And they see your maybe, and I know you watch interviews. Part of the reason that's why we do this too. I'm like, I don't know
Yeah,
how else to show people that not only we're legit, but we get people results. But I also think it
yeah,
matters like the experience in the program. Like I hear some horror
yeah.
stories, if I join, am I gonna have to like, is my coach actually gonna be attentive to me? Are they gonna reach out to me? Like biggest fear we get in our head and they're like, I know it worked for Ryan, but like you don't get my situation, bro. Like and I'm
Yeah,
like, no, 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 it doesn't matter. We've worked with 1,200 people. Like I promise you that we have somebody in our program that is busier than you that's successful. So that's great.
yeah,
But I want to know just how it's been, dude. Like how communicative is the coach? Do you like Coach Mike? Do you feel like the team has been attentive to you? Like all that stuff I think matters because there are some programs where people get in and they have to kind of their coach doesn't tailor it to them, or maybe the first 2 months is really good and then it kind of, the service drops.
yeah.
Like how's that been so far?
No, I mean, off the bat, Coach Mike was great, because I told him what injuries I had, what struggles I had physically. He pretty much tailored the beginning of my exercises just to build strength there so that by the time I'd started losing enough weight, I could do different workouts without any pain. So I wasn't, handcuffed to doing only certain
Hmm.
exercises. Um, I don't know. Personally, I like someone who's gonna. Am I allowed to curse?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. I like someone who's gonna get on my ass. Like I don't want someone who's just gonna be like, "Good job, you're doing great." Like I want someone who's gonna call me out if I'm not doing something that I need to do. And
Absolutely.
Mike, he gets on you. but in a good way. He's trying to make you better. He's not doing it in a negative way. He's like, dude, you got to do more of this. You
Yeah,
need to change your weight, whatever. Because it kind of keeps you centered on the goal. Uh,
100%. Yeah,
he's very responsive. So like I'm not waiting 2, 3 days for a response. If I message him, usually it's within the hour. He's messaging me back. Sometimes just talking.
yeah,
Um, you know, and actually I'm almost back up to the calories I started at when I started this program because I've lost so much weight and he kind of wants me to taper out right now
yeah,
and work on muscle building.
sure.
Um, but he's Mike is awesome. He does a really good job. His workout program is nothing like I've ever seen before. It's a lot of weird exercises that I
Yeah,
never thought I'd be doing or could do.
but it
So
works.
yeah, it's crazy. I didn't know because he have videos with all these exercises and I'm watching like how the hell do you even do that? I'm like you know I grew up in a pretty basic lifting structure as a football player, so but it works and you get stronger in ways you had no idea from weird positions, weird angles, which works as a cop because you're not always going to be squatting some guy or just
Yeah.
benching some guy off your chest.
Yeah, I love that, bro. Because I will say, like, I just had a call with a little older detective the other day, and I think he looked at our program as like, oh, yeah, I already know, like, training. I've been lifting my whole life. I'm like, yes, and this is going to be different, you know.
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh, I'm just going to pay for a workout and fit and training or nutrition program. I'm like, number one, it's way more than a training and nutrition program,
Yeah.
and number two, it's not that it's for those of you listening to, it's not a miracle. Like, it's not that it's not like this made up thing we're doing. It's just most lifts, most programs you buy, most cookie cutter things, you go ask ChatGPT, they're going to give you very traditional lifts. There's nothing wrong with them. Push, pull,
Yeah.
press, squat, lunge, they're all in there. But again, we neglect, not to get too much into coaching, but we neglect these like movements and these patterns. And as a tactical freaking athlete, cop, firefighter, military, you're going to get put in weird positions. And that's when the injuries happen and like the back. And we sit a lot sometimes. And so it's like, and I know Mike has explained this a lot to you, we have to change up the style of the training. And just like for me, man, I've been lifting for a long, long time, you know, for like a lot of our community. And I also
Yeah.
got bored and I was like, am I checking off the box? And so this new style of training can make it fun and you look forward to your workouts and it's challenging and like,
Yeah.
you know, reigniting that is super powerful too, man. Um,
Yeah, no, it's nice knowing that I can do things that I never thought I'd be able to do in a
yeah,
lift or just doing lifts that I never realized were something you could actually do.
yeah. So last question for you. You know, I think most people's fear too is just, hey, not only is it not gonna work for me, but really is like, am I gonna waste my money? If you could rewind 6 months ago, would you do it again? Would you make the investment?
Oh, without hesitation. It wouldn't even be a second thought. I would have taken me less time to do it if I knew what I knew now. Because
Yeah,
this is it's a life-changing program, but you have to be committed. You have to put in the work. You can't sign up and just, half-ass it.
yeah,
You gotta
absolutely
put
not.
in all the effort.
100%. And, you know, I think a lot of our community too, they want a coach that's going to be there and be on their ass. And if you guys have never had coaching, which I know was your first time, by the way, 95% of our clients, probably more at this point, have never had a coach, let alone an online coach. I mean, like, I'm not talking about sports, like
Yeah,
trainer,
yeah,
coach. And so everybody's fears, I've never had a coach. It's online. How's it going to work? I'm like, well, I don't know. Ask 1,000 people that have gone through our program. You know, it's one
yeah.
of those things where it's like, it will work if you show up and put in the work. And it's not all on you. Like, yes, you got to put in the work, but there's a reason we attach coaching to it, or else we'd just be a programming company, right?
Mm,
We are going to be on your ass. I'm going to hold you to a high standard. I'm going to say you need to lead from the front. Absolutely. That's what we do. And it, again, like that's the coaching aspect. I tell people all the time, I have coaches. I've consistently had business coaches, other types of coaches that call me out on my BS, that hold my feet to the fire because we as humans, we live in generally a scarcity mindset where we're like, I'm tired, this is hard, this, that, you know, we kind of are generally complainers and we find
yeah,
excuses. Me too. I'm not innocent to it. And if you don't have anybody holding you accountable, it's very challenging. And if your rebuttal is like, well, I'm really disciplined. So like again, so are NFL players, yet they have coaches, yet they
yeah,
have strength coaches. Because even if you come in and you're like, bro, I'm already really fit, you know, I've been lifting my whole life, I'm at 18% body fat and I want to get to 10. Great. So you're coming in higher level. Congratulations. That just means we can actually operate at a higher level with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can get you there. Just like an NFL player doesn't go to the weight room and they're like, this is how you bench press. Like, again, dude, they know who they're coaching. And same thing with our program. We do have people that are kind of starting from the beginning. That's okay. But we
Yeah.
also have some like super high level, super in shape people that want to come in and be an 8 to a 10 or a 9 to a 10. Like we have those people in our program, but it's all about, the process we take you through, which is why we do customize it to you, right? Which is why we're also highly selective about who we work with, which is why we do, hey, we need to jump on a call. Let's do a Zoom call before we come in. I want to make sure that you're all in, man, that you're there, your support, like you're in a good mental spot, you're in a good spot to do the program, which I think some people are a little bit surprised. They're like, oh, I'm talking to the owner and like, you're going to get on a call with me. I'm like, yeah, I do it all day. Freaking sit on my butt
Yeah.
on these Zoom calls because I want to make sure if somebody joins that I know they're going to do well. And you're a prime
Mhm.
example, dude. And you should be really proud of yourself because we had the same conversation 6 months ago. And
Yeah.
when you were scared and when you were hesitant, and you showed up, but I know I had to be like, hey man, like let's go. Like
Yeah.
you need to make this commitment. And for you, it was the same as a lot of our clients, right? Little devil, little angel, one's like, do it. And everyone's like, oh, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
That fear is normal, but I'm proud of you for just silencing the fear because the fear is normal. Like we all have it when we're going to make a decision, but it's just
Mhm.
your choice. Are you going to let the fear hold you back from being where you want? Are you going to be that person and like wake up 6 months later with regret? Are you going to nut up and freaking take action? And you did, dude. And you continue to do it in the program. It's not that you just joined and then you're like, I'm done. You
Yeah.
continue to show up day in and day out. And I'm really proud of you, dude. And
Thank you.
I'm proud of you that you're doing it for a lot of different reasons, right? Stepping into fatherhood, wanting to be an example. That's awesome, dude. We have most like a lot of dads in our program. I'm a father. So I respect you for saying I want to get myself right before I take that journey. I want to be a better officer. I want to be a better person. And you knew you had more, man. You knew you weren't at your potential and it was eating you. And you're like, I'm done. And
Yeah.
you've been putting in the work, man. So way to go.
No, I just want to say too, I appreciate that, I got to talk with you before the program and actually have a discussion. I felt like it was, more real, and it felt like you guys were also committed to us,
Yeah.
as clients, because a lot of the, I was worried that like, oh, I'm just going to be someone that kind of just gets, oh, you paid, here's a workout plan, here's a meal plan. And getting to talk to the owner of it, and then also talking to Coach Mike right after and being like, all right, they're committed to making me the best version of me right now. And like
Yeah.
that's what they're here for. It was kind of like the push actually. 'Cause I was on the border, and then talking to you, I'm like, this is right. This is what I should do. Like
Yeah.
this is right for me.
Yeah, I love that, dude. And I'm very adamant about going against the grain in the fitness industry. I'm not balling out on Instagram, so I don't have 200,000 followers. And so I wanted it to be like not a small program, but like intimate, high level, high delivery, where I could sit there and say, we're so involved that I know you're going to get results, right? I
Yeah.
didn't want that. I mean, a lot of the industry does that. No shade on anybody else, but like that's not the program. Me, Mike, Ryan, we spent 10 years plus doing in-person training and seeing the good and the bad and the ugly of the industry. And I'm like, dude, if I'm putting my name on it, if I'm stamping it, if we're going to do this, I'm going to hire the best coaches. We're going to do it right. And we're going to make sure that like we have an attentive program. So that means controlling roster size, like how many people have like on the back end. And 4 years later, man, like we have awesome feedback. And I'm like, all right, well, it's working. So I'm
Yeah.
just gonna keep doing what's working and keep getting people results. And so, yeah, man, I appreciate you jumping on and taking time out of your day. This is going to be probably very helpful for somebody. And yeah, dude, I'm pumped to see where you're going to be in 6 months. Like if you're this far halfway through, you're going to be an absolute animal 6 months from now. And I'm like, I can't wait.
Awesome. Thank you so much for talking to me, man. I really appreciate it. And thank you for, taking the leap with me to get to this point.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Like I said, I only want to let people in that I am confident because like I have that moral obligation, right? If I say, hey, dude, I think you're going to do really well, very good judgment call.
Mhm.
And you proved me right. So great
Yeah.
job putting in the effort, brother.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, we'll see you on the inside. We'll talk soon, Ryan. Bye.
That was good. Bye.